So one of the most annoying problems I face in my game is enemy overlapping. If you have made a 2D game, you may have encountered this problem of enemy or characters overlapping. So the easiest and the most obvious solution you may suggest is to have colliders and rigid body. But it results in weird motions, adding unwanted push forces and weird jittery look. And suppose for some reason if you don't want to use a rigid body physics to separate the characters, then this video may be helpful. My name is Sajesh Nair and I am an indie game developer developing this awesome time travel based game, super cool graphics, super cool mechanics and super cool time travel stuff. Nothing is less cool in this game. Everything is just super cool in this game. So if you are interested, consider subscribing and join my Discord channel for more updates. Let's see the problem first. Suppose my two guards are going towards the same point and they don't have a solid collider, they just have trigger colliders. Then they overlap each other, making only one guard visible, even if there are 10 guards. So now we need to separate them. So the first step is to detect the other guard. And by the way, this is the simple code that I've used to move towards target and stop. I will simply add a raycast and check if another guard is ahead of me. Then I'll add an offset. So instead of going directly to the target, I will save the moving position, then add the offset to reduce the speed of the character to avoid the overlap. And here I will add an offset to pull back the player. And I'm multiplying it with the sign of X scale, the scale value, as I use scale to rotate the player. So that way the code works for both direction, right and left. So now when they try to overlap, one of them will lower its speed and adjust accordingly. Even if this guard's speed is higher, it will not overlap the other guard. Simple and easy. This was the very simplest version, but it has many other complications to it. Let's check out. Suppose if I have a other guard who is standing in the way idly, then what happens is it creates a small friction for some frames, then it goes. And the same happens if two guards are moving in opposite directions. It creates some friction for some frames. It happens because we are reducing the speed on colliding and not stopping. So when I see an idle guard or moving opposite guard, it reduces the speed for few frames till it's colliding. Then after it crosses the guard, it moves normally. So if you're okay with that small friction, then fine, you're good to go. But if you are like me and need a more perfect version, then you can do this. I'll simply add a line of code to check if other guard is idle or moving against my direction. If so, then I'll simply ignore that guard. I'll not add the offset part. So it simply ignores the collision and it moves ahead. It works. Done right? No, we have more complications. Suppose if my guards are exactly at the same position, then what? Then it breaks the code and doesn't work. Let's see why. The raycast, as you can see, is drawn outside the collider's border. So when both guards are at the same position, they won't detect each other. Now if I keep the raycast point inside the collider, it causes a bigger problem. As both the objects are same, the raycast will detect its own object. So it always detects itself and collide with himself and reduce the speed. So I have to detect multiple objects with the raycast and remove my own object. So I only tried to find one object, but now I have to find multiple objects with the raycast and remove the own object. So I will extend the code to do that. Detect multiple objects, remove self, and if there are more than two objects, suppose if there are 3 or 4 guards in front of me, then this code will find the nearest guard to push away from. And it should work. It works with multiple guards, but the old problem still persists. If I keep both the guards at the same place, they will not push away. Do you know why? I can give you 5 seconds to think. Write down in the comments if you know why they are not executing the code. Because they both are executing the code. They both execute the same code at the same time. Means guard A detects guard B and slows down. and at the same time guard B detects guard A and slows down. They both slow down simultaneously. This problem only arises if they are at the same position. If one is behind the other, then the front one will never detect the back one, so this problem never arises. Now to fix this, I have to save the guard which is colliding, and I will check if other guard is also colliding with me. So I will check that if guard A is colliding with B and B is colliding with A, and in that case only one of them will slow down. As they are the same object, we don't have many different parameters or properties to compare, but we have instance ID. You can also give your own index, but it should be unique, and we'll compare that with some basic comparison and only one of them will execute. So I'll try instance ID here, which is unique to all the game objects in the scene. So I'll simply check whose ID is bigger, and that object will execute the code. So if A is colliding with B and B is colliding with A, they both will check their instance ID, and whose ID is bigger will execute the code to slow down. Let's see it in action. It works fine. We fixed the overlapping problem while in motion. Now we have to fix it when it comes to rest. Let's say two guards have the same target position where they want to stop. Then this happens. And how we can fix that? So if you remember, we have a code to ignore the guard if that guard is in idle position. So if the first guard reaches the destination and stops, then the other guard thinks it is in idle position and it will ignore it. I will simply add a line of code to check if the idle guard has reached its destination, and if my destination and the other guard's destination are the same, then I cannot move further and I have to stop where I am. I hope I explained it well. So we fixed the overlapping issue in motion and in rest. You can adapt these simple methods. I just shared the basic layouts how we can check and avoid this problem. You can adapt this to complex situation, modify it. It can also be used for 3D, and you can change it as per your requirement. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and hit the like button, and if you are interested in my awesome game, consider joining my Discord server. See you soon.